when I woke up this morning, the whole thing is about coronavirus, and what it does indicate is the mining industry, African rainbow minerals, and in fact South Africa is part of the global economies, and whether we agree or disagree, or whether we like it or don't like it, we are going to be affected by what happens worldwide. It'll have an impact on our businesses. It'll also have an impact on the value we create for shareholders, and it's important for us as African rainbow minerals, but also, the mining industry and the country at all times to make sure that these circumstances that are outside our control, we're always a good place to do business, because when problems happen, it exacerbates everything. And this is not the best time to be buying. I don't know whether coronavirus may create the environment for us to buy, but it's always better to buy when there are problems. Some people say it's always good to acquire when there's blood in the market. But I think the most important thing is to consistently create a track record for shareholders, that when we acquire and when we invest in growth, we do so to create value. And we don't just acquire for the sake of acquiring or for the sake of showing growth. We have to look at, as important as the share price is, but I still believe that the coronavirus, because that is the wet blanket over the market right now, that is where a huge chunk of the negative sentiment arises. And I was watching the President of America. I was told I must never use the name Africa loves and a president of another country in the same sentence. And it just shows how hopeless I am. I don't remember what people say last year or last week, because I was told at a young age, you never keep grudges, forget about those things. But more importantly, my main concern was, at the time, of course, at Davos, was the huge barrage of negative, the argument that you guys, you hate America. And we've been hearing it consistently. And maybe I should have said we don't hate America, but what does that sound like? But let's leave that. We need to work with the rest of the world, and of course, I've got no doubt, we need to have good ties with America, with the investment community, with the rest of the world. It's very, very important. Our key focus in that context is job creation and an economy that grows. But I think right now, if you see the whole issue on the coronavirus, there's still a bit of uncertainty. And from an African rainbow minerals perspective, we are confident that in the medium term, there should be that the markets will have the coronavirus under control.
I'm thinking about your mines, Asmang mines in the Northern Cape, in that hot, sunny Northern Cape. I'm thinking about our Eskom and our crisis here. And I wouldn't mind hearing something from you about your attitude to using that sun in sunny South Africa for some solar power. And then when we get to your smelters, of course, that might be a more difficult situation. But you do have flare gas there. There are things that you can capture and turn into electricity, which I think could help South Africa at the moment. So I'd like your response to that. Thank you.
You may have seen from Larry Fink is a CEO of the largest asset management company in the world. They've got $5 trillion. And in an open session, he was talking about, the whole renewables, Martin, and the huge technological advances in that regard. And electricity is a key issue for this country. The challenge for all of us is the issue about jobs. And technology should be, and there'll be new jobs created as far as in renewables are concerned. And the high cost of electricity. You can't be globally competitive with the electricity cost that in itself is not globally competitive. And so there's good work that's been done, and I think you will see huge developments in renewables, also specifically in relation to the technological developments. We are part of a group that was started by Bill Gates after the Paris climate talks, and there's about 20 of us. And we, not armed, but in another capacity. And the main aim was to partner to use the best technologies in the world to produce clean energy. It's called Breakthrough Energy Ventures. And he basically said, I need $50 million from each of you. I will put in 200 million of my own money. I can tell you, and that's why it was more philanthropic in that context, because the perception was we would all lose our money. But 3 years after, well, in fact, the perception was because it was revolutionary technology, it would take time. So they spoke about patient capital. But what I've seen over the last 4 or 5 years is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And that's why in a separate context, we went into renewables partly because of the huge commitment to make sure that we are in line with technological developments in the world. And this country benefits from the advances of technology in renewables. But the last thing I want to say is that we live in a country where particularly people like myself have a huge obligation in terms of job creation. And the developments in electricity and renewables must be seen in the context of helping people to transition.